Okay, so let's get this battery on charge. So I've got the 3-cell 1500 milliamp battery. Instead of using the plug and cable that they've supplied, this is a really common connector here, used in satellite TV and all sorts of small things around your house. You'll probably find you've got one of these cables, so it's just a better way, I think, rather than having the adapter plugs up here all sort of hanging up. This is properly plugged in and works properly then, and nice and safe. If I turn it on, we get a green sort of LED with the odd flash of red. I'm hoping the camera will pick that up. And then to plug in, we've got a 2-cell charger here or a 3-cell charger. That can only go in one way. There's a couple of little tiny lugs on here, which again, I don't suppose the camera will pick up, but they are there. It will only go in one way, so you can't put it in the wrong polarity. And then this is actually a balance charger, so it's got the 3 cells that it charges individually. It brings them up to the correct voltage. It will be quite slow. It only runs at, with 3-cell, it says up here, it only runs at 1 amp, and so it's probably going to take an hour and a half, if not a bit more probably, to charge it up, but that's not too bad. I tend to use, for all my quads and everything, once you get into them and everything, you'll move up to something like a professional charger, and I actually like this one, and I'll do a separate video on this, so hopefully that'll be up and running soon as well, to show you how to use it and the advantages over using these ones. But if you're new to quads, this will get you going, and that's the main thing you need to get up in the air. And there you go, don't you just love time lapse? There we go, all 3 cells are charged up to the correct value, because the LEDs have gone from the red to the green. So unplug, and we're good to get out and fly. Okay, so I'm going to get it assembled now, but first of all going to have a look around it. It's very impressive. This top plate here is carbon fibre, these two here aren't. On the base of it there's like a foam that's really well stuck to this base plate. It's all bolted together with little Allen screws. The finish is superb on it. I'm really impressed with it. I don't know what other racers are like. Like I say, this is the first one I've gone for, and it really is nicely put together. The soldering seems spot on. Everything seems, you know, the details inside and everything all seem very good. There's a little tiny switch here which turns the lights on and off. So that's so they're permanently off. Then, if not, there's a switch on the transmitter that will control them when it's in flight, but obviously if it's turned off here, that's not going to work. The motors and everything just seems good. As you can see, I'm pretty impressed with it, sort of thing. I'll get it assembled up and we'll get out for a flight, because I'm thinking the weather's changing, so that'd be brilliant if that just gives us a bit of a gap in the weather there. But first of all, let's just compare it to a couple of my other quads. I've got the FY 326 here. As you can see, physical size, not a huge amount of difference, but I can tell you the weight is a terrific difference. I mean, there's literally nothing on this, and this one seems like it's carrying a battery already, and these are weights without the battery. And then just to put it next to the Tarantula, you can see it's just a little bit smaller, but again, weight, it seems a heck of a lot heavier. Obviously it's carrying the extra stuff for the FPV, it's got a camera on it. But let's see what the actual weight difference is with them. And we know it's going to be huge. There we go. So this is without any battery or anything. And we're looking at 389. I think the scales are hardly going to move when I put this one on. 78, so you can see then, get an idea of just how much heavier it is. And then the Tarantula is only 195, so that's nearly twice the weight of the Tarantula. I said earlier I was a bit shocked about the size of the propeller, so here's a propeller which is pretty much similar to the ones off the Tarantula, but this is off the CX20 and this is off the Eachine 250 Racer, and you can see, you know, the difference in size. This is going to have to do a heck of a lot to be able to lift that up, and also the profiles are totally different, so it's a totally different flying machine, so going to be a lot of fun to play with. Just before we actually finally get to assemble it, the actual instruction manual's pretty good. It really is useful. It tells you how to arm it and everything, which if this is all new to you, you wouldn't know how to arm a quad, or that you need to arm a quad, and then it can be really frustrating that you know, it just won't fly, but then it's not being told to arm from the transmitter. Also runs you through how to connect everything up. It is basic, it gives you some basic ideas, but if this is your first quad, it's pretty good. Gets you out there and doing it. The first thing I've decided to do before I actually do anything at all is to put this antenna on. This is vital. It does warn you here, and it warns you in the instructions. It's everywhere to warn you that if you do not put this into here, it will ruin this the transmitter from here that passes the FPV signal back. It will ruin it. That will be it. It will be gone. You'll have to replace the board. So I'm thinking I'm probably going to leave this connected all the time. I don't know that I can transport it like that. Perhaps it will have to come off, but in my mind I'm always going to have this exactly as is, because it's something that I would be wanting to get out in the field, plug it in and fly. I've not had this sort of system before, so to me that doesn't actually make a huge amount of sense. So this is going to stay as a priority. I've got the battery all charged, and it just literally connects on this XT60. So if you're getting any other batteries, make sure they've got the XT60 on as well. You just literally, I'm not going to put it on board or anything, but I might do actually. It does just slide into there, but it slides in through a little strap that's on the back there. So we need to undo that and let it slide through, but I'm not going to do that for a second. I just literally want to plug it in and see what happens. I haven't got my props on, so everything should be safe. It shouldn't do anything. What you should do first of all with most quads is turn on the actual transmitter itself, and you've got all these switches and dials as well, so just be careful where they are. It should all be in the up position. And if I turn on, which I have tried this before just to see how it would work, if the switches are down, it warns you that the switches are down and they need to be all in the up position. So once I do that, it then stops and it's ready to work. So the thing that can happen is if I now knock a switch, it thinks that that's what you want it to do, and this would actually alter the flight mode, so this would not be a good thing to take off this way as a novice. So once you've actually put the switches in the up position, the transmitter thinks that anything else you do is under your control, so just be aware of that. If you're not sure, turn it back off, turn it back on, and then it warns you that these switches are in the wrong position. I don't think there's anything that uses these pots on the actual quad itself, so I assume that's well, that's actually the 0 position round to the side here at sort of 3 o'clock on it, but there is nothing that I can find that will work for that on the this actual quad. So, and then I'm just literally going to put the quad in there. Going to work this upside down, so this will be interesting. Like I say, I haven't connected the propellers because obviously the motors can then spin. I'm not going to get hurt basically, which is what I'm after here. So, and this is just really just to make sure the transmitter and the motors and everything are all working. So just literally going to now plug that in. Whoa, no bright. And there it is. So like I say, if you're new to all this, you might sort of think, well, it's not working, nothing's happening, why isn't anything happening? You start flicking switches, you then start putting it into different flight modes, and then you find out how to arm it. This would not be a good thing. So I'll just go through how you arm it. You literally push this over to here, and there we are, that's armed. So yep, that's working well. To disarm it, because it was remained armed for a while, just pull it across to this side, and then it's disarmed. This is a real safety feature. You don't get it on the very small quads. I don't even have it on my tarantula actually, which has hurt my fingers a few times when I've got caught out with it. But this is lovely. Anyone that picks up your transmitter or you just happen to knock it, this is on full throttle now.
if the props are on, you know, you could literally lose your fingers or certainly do some serious damage, or it could get a fly off. If you had that in your house, that wouldn't be any good at all. These LEDs, the reason I went wow when I turned it on was literally these LEDs are vicious. Hopefully you can see them. They're probably just ruining the CCD on the camera, and the tail ones are cool too. I mean, it is really bright. Let me just turn off the actual lights here and you'll see. They are awesome. I mean, absolutely awesome. I might be using this as a head torch at some stage. There we go. And you can change the LEDs on the back with this switch here. So it changes colour when you flick this switch on and off. There we go. And that actually turns all the lights off. There's still a little LED in here flashing away, so I actually know it's still ready, and I could arm it again. Simply bring it back to here, and then it's armed, and off we go again. And a good habit to be in is to always disarm it. As soon as you've finished flying or you've landed, make sure you kill it, because it's so much safer that way. And then to flick the lights back on, there we go, and it cycles through the colours on the tail, and whether or not you have headlights as well. So next thing is I'll get the screen and we'll have a look at that. There's just a little thing to point out. I'm sure nobody would be silly enough to leave it on. There's definitely a little plastic cap on there. I can't actually tilt the quad up high enough here, but there is a little plastic cap that comes off of your lens. And you might hear that bleep. If you leave the transmitter on, it starts to alert that you've left it on. Obviously it's not connected to anything, so therefore it starts bleeping, which is rather good. So I'm going to turn that off for a minute.